Have you ever watched fog roll into a city so quietly that you didn't even notice it arrive? One moment the streets are clear, and the next, everything is wrapped in a soft gray blanket, and you have no idea when it actually happened. That mysterious silent arrival is exactly what one poet noticed, and instead of just describing weather, he turned it into one of the most famous short poems in English literature. Hey everyone, welcome back! Today we're diving into a tiny but powerful poem from your CBSE English textbook called Fog, written by the American poet Carl Sandburg. It's only 6 lines long, but don't let that fool you. This poem is packed with imagination, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what the poet is trying to say, how he says it, and why examiners love asking questions from it. So let's set the scene. Picture a harbor town, boats resting quietly by the docks, tall buildings standing in the distance. The evening is calm, almost too calm, and then, without any warning, without any sound, fog begins creeping in from the sea. Now here's the interesting part. Sandburg doesn't describe the fog the way a scientist would. He doesn't talk about water droplets or temperature or humidity. Instead, he looks at the fog and sees something completely different. He sees a cat. Yes, a cat. Think about how a cat moves. It doesn't stomp around announcing its arrival. It doesn't make noise. A cat glides into a room on soft paws, and before you even realize it, it's already sitting right next to you, watching everything with calm, quiet eyes. That is exactly how Sandburg imagines the fog behaving. He writes that the fog comes in on little cat feet. Just pause and imagine that image for a second. Something as massive as fog, capable of covering an entire city, is being compared to the delicate, silent paws of a small cat. It's unexpected, and that's exactly why it's so memorable. But wait, the poem doesn't stop there. Once the fog arrives, what does it do? According to Sandburg, it doesn't rush through the streets or disappear immediately. Instead, it sits. He describes the fog sitting and looking over the harbor and the city, almost like a cat perched somewhere high, silently observing everything happening below. Doesn't that feel exactly like how a cat behaves when it jumps onto a windowsill and just watches the world, completely still, completely alert? Sandburg even uses a beautiful phrase here. He says the fog sits on silent haunches. Now, haunches simply means the back legs and hips of an animal, the way a cat tucks them under itself when it's sitting and observing. So even in this stillness, the poet keeps building the same cat-like image, making us actually see the fog crouched over the city like a giant, invisible cat. And then, just as quietly as it arrived, the fog moves on. No drama, no warning. It simply leaves, the same way it came, silently, mysteriously, almost like a cat that wanders into a room, sits for a while, and then just as calmly walks away again. Now here's something important you should remember for your exams. This entire poem is built using something called a metaphor. A metaphor is when you compare two completely different things without using words like as or like, and you transfer the qualities of one thing onto another. Sandburg never actually writes the words, "the fog is like a cat." Instead, he directly gives the fog cat-like actions, cat feet, sitting on haunches, silently watching, and then moving away. This indirect comparison is what makes the poem so powerful and so clever. You should also remember that this poem does not follow any fixed rhyme scheme or regular rhythm. Poetry written this way is called free verse, and Sandburg uses it beautifully here because fog itself doesn't move in a fixed, structured pattern. It drifts freely, unpredictably, just like the lines of this poem. So what is Sandburg really trying to tell us through these 6 simple lines? He's showing us how something as ordinary as fog can be transformed into something magical, mysterious, and alive, simply through the power of imagination and comparison. He teaches us to look at nature differently, to notice the quiet, gentle movements happening around us that we usually take for granted. And that's the beautiful story behind Fog by Carl Sandburg. I hope this explanation helped you understand the poem in the easiest and most interesting way possible. If it did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your classmates and friends because it might help them before their exams too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.